Okay, we are live. Let me check the audio. I should bring headphones, but my headphones broke and I'm broke. So, you know, double whammy there. And I'm broke. So, cool. How's everybody doing tonight? Let some people hop in here. You know, I like to do this every week. On TV1, we've got Ole Miss Auburn right now. We'll change that. On TV2, we got Kansas State and TCU. Welcome, everybody, to Alabama Postgame at the voice of college football. I'm Zach Vermilius. I'm here to talk about what was a super fun game between the Crimson Tide and the Vols. Jackson, welcome. What's up, Bama Nation? Indeed. Alabama gets it done 34-20. Gets a little revenge for last year against the Vols. Excuse me, heavens. Like I said, you are listening to Alabama Postgame at the voice of college football. Subscribe, like the video, subscribe to all our channels, guys. A lot of people putting in a lot of good work across the country who just want to talk college football. There's no problem with that. Join the Voice of College Football call-in show at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Mark will go over the full day's events as we get into the night slate. Got another comment. 27 unanswered points. Indeed. Join the weekly live stream on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And promo code BIG for $10 off a purchase of at least $100 or more. Promo code BIG20 for $20 off a purchase of at least $300 at ticketsmarter.com. Join our Discord. You can sign up for it and talk college football all the time. Sign up at patreon.com/MarkRogersTV. Let's get it going. Alabama 34, Tennessee 20 in Tuscaloosa in front of a sold-out CBS crowd. You know, Gary Danielson, Brad Nessler, the last year. The SEC fans will get them for better or worse. It's the last year. What did Saban say at halftime? I'm not allowed to swear too much. Get your stuff together, guys. Tennessee's not that good. So anyway, I mean, let's just start out, first drive of the game. Tennessee marches right down the field. They complete Joe Milton played, I've seen too much Joe Milton football in my life when he was at Michigan during the COVID year. And now a year or so at Tennessee. I've watched way too much Joe Milton football for how good he actually is. Really good first half. Really, really good. He normally between like 4 and 15 yards. It's like scattershot. You just don't know where it's going. He was really good in this first half today. He completes a 3rd and 7, or not completes, but runs for a 3rd and 7. He's mobile, but he doesn't use it all the time, which is a little weird. But 3rd and 1, Jalen Wright picks up a first down. And then White, goodness gracious, I can't talk today. What a catch in the end. Now, we can argue, was it a catch? Was it not a catch? They ruled it a catch on the field and ended up not mattering, guys. That was an outstanding play in the corner. And Tennessee's up 7-0 like that. And now it's worry time. It's like, okay, all right. Bama comes right back out. 3 and out. 3 and out. What's your response? Bama college football nerds tweeted this out. I want to cite them because I have a bad habit of not citing. I'm in my emo phase apparently with my hair. Alabama's averaging I think it was 2.2 points per in the first quarter. Their first quarters are horrible. That needs to change moving forward, especially when LSU's offense comes to town in 2 weeks. Anyway, Tennessee then goes 3 and out. Bama punts. Then Tennessee goes on a 15-play drive, which is not something you see Alabama do a lot at home, is give up those kind of drives. But they hold strong on 3rd and goal at the 6. Dylan Sampson drops a pass, and they kick a field goal. 10-0. Okay, what's going on here? Get something going on offense. It's only 10. It's fine. Immediately come out, Jalen Milroe, sacked by James Pierce, who is that Tennessee front's really good, which is why when we get to the second half of this game, it is going to the most glowing of Alabama I've been all year. But Milroe fumbles. It's recovered by Tennessee. Norman, I think it was Norman Lett who got it. And then right back on the field comes the Alabama offense or defense. And once again, on third and goal, they're able to hold Tennessee to a field goal, 13-0. Trading punts, out comes Bama, touchdown. Desperately needed that. Nice completion to Jermaine Burton for 22. And then the touchdown to Jermaine Burton, 10 yards. Jalen Milroe, who threw 2 touchdowns today. Milroe had a pretty good game once he really got going. Now we'll get to the next drive, and I think this is where the game turned. I know Tennessee didn't take the lead for still a while, but I think this is where the game turned. Tennessee has the ball back, up 13 to 7. They're 4th and 1. Heupel goes for it at his own 34. Now, I agree to go for it. When you're a team like Tennessee, and I think Tennessee's a pretty good team, I think they have a chance to win every game they have left, except maybe Georgia. But they get Georgia at home, so who's to say? But when you go on the road and you're a less talented team, you need to be aggressive if you want to beat Bama. And very clearly, Heupel came into the game with, we're going to go for the win. We're not going to – they weren't playing for let's not lose by 28 that you sometimes see teams do. Looking at you, Mississippi State. They run it with Milton, and he gets stuffed by the Alabama defense. Bama comes back out, and Milroe throws a pick. But this is – you're starting to feel the momentum turn a little bit. Although – Tennessee looked like they might have flipped it back as they come right back and score a touchdown. Milton to count for 6 yards. Again, the first half for Joe Milton, he was unbelievable. He looked like all offseason, and I'm sure you guys got sick of it too, hearing about, oh, well, Joe Milton's got an incredible arm. So that must mean he's a really great quarterback, even though, he's been benched twice. He can't be that good. He was excellent in the first half. Absolutely excellent. Got him to 20 points on the road, up 20 to 7. You're gonna be feeling good if you're a Tennessee fan. Then the second half starts. Out comes Bama. Jase McClellan, 29-yard run. Isaiah Bond, 46-yard touchdown. We've got a game. I mean, it was always going to be a game, but we've got it's a 20-14 game now. Bama forces a 3-and-out. They come back, get a field goal. Tennessee again. 4th and 1 on the 47. They go for it. They don't get it. Again, another call I agree with. Sort of like with Dan Lanning when he went for it a bunch earlier, or Ohio State today when they went for it. Basically on the goal line against Penn State, like, go for it. Penn State one's a little different. That was different circumstances. Penn State wasn't driving 98 yards to score. Whatever. But that's a situation where I don't blame him for going for it. It's about the execution, though, and they didn't execute. Bama stuffs them. And now it's Bama's turn to go right back the other way. Jase McClellan with a touchdown. Bama takes the lead, and Bryant Denny was rocking, man. It was a pretty good environment. It was a really good environment for Texas, and just the nature of having 100,000 people in your stands, it's always going to be pretty good. But it was a different level once they took the lead. They force a punt, come right back. They just, complete a 3rd and 9, or they can get a first on a 3rd and 9 on a holding penalty. They get all the way down to the 23, and then Milroe takes a sack. Okay, you got to kick a 50-yard field goal. The jokes about Alabama being horrible at kicking field goals are kind of old. But, you still kind of don't trust it. They kicked it, though. Record makes it 50-yarders. And then they seal the game. Campbell, 24-yard touchdown, fumble return on an outstanding play. And Bama pulls up 34-20. They never really look back. They force a 3-and-out. And Tennessee goes on downs, and then Tennessee just kind of runs out the clock at the end. Well, they're going for a touchdown, but they just didn't get it. Outstanding defense today from Alabama. Tennessee does but Tennessee defensively, I'm going to give them a little credit. It's a pretty good defense. They only gave up 27 today. They got a pick. They got 4 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss. If you look at the team totals, Alabama only had 358 yards, which for 34 points isn't a crazy amount. Tennessee had 404 yards of offense. The key stat to me offensively, and the reason why Alabama sometimes maybe isn't efficient, but they can still put up numbers, yards per pass, 6.6 for Tennessee. That's not a very good number. I know you'll see Tennessee fans of other teams arguing online. Well, that's a first down every couple of throws. It's not how that works though, because when you're constantly not able to be getting first downs and you're putting yourself in 2nd and 6, 3rd and 7, that's where the danger hits. Milroe, 10.5 yards per completion. He's able to hit those bombs, man. And today in the second half, he was pretty efficient picking up first downs with both his arms and his legs. Good game for him. But the Alabama defense in the second half just turned it up, shut him out. Braswell with 2 sacks, Dallas Turner with a sack, 8 tackles for a loss in the game. Excellent second half for that. Yeah, Tennessee has a good front. No, Tennessee's front seven is really good. Tennessee this year is kind of the reverse of what they were last year. Not exactly, like their defense isn't 2021 Georgia, which I guess is kind of be the reverse, or like a really good defense, like an amazing defense. It's a really good defense though. Their front seven. I mean, you saw what they did to Texas A&M last week, and Texas A&M isn't very good, but they were just killing Max Johnson. And to go into the second half and put up 27 straight, that's a really good accomplishment. Jalen Milroe, I know he threw the pick after the stuff, but 14 to 21, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. You'll take that every time. Take that every time. But the MVP to me, Jace McClellan. We've been yelling all year about Bama's run game, and it's been horrible. And McClellan's been a part of that. Even though I don't always blame running backs, I don't think they're the biggest person at fault when the running game isn't very good. 27 carries, 115 yards, a 4.3 average, a touchdown, and along the 29. But if you knock that off, 26 for 85 is still pretty solid. It's still 3 yards a carry, taking away the biggest run. It's not great, but you'll take it. Tennessee running the ball. They couldn't get anything going with Jabari Small. Dylan Sampson, 4 carries, but Jabari Small, 8 carries, 24 yards. Jalen Wright, 11 carries, 22 yards, along a 5 and along a 6 for both those guys. Milton was able to move the ball a little bit with his legs. He's going to do that. He probably should do it more. Milroe, just because we're box score reading, we might as well. Joe Milton, 28 of 41 for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns. 271 yards on 41 throws. That's a pretty good job by the Alabama pass. Squirrel White had a big game, 10 catches for 111 yards. Look, he had 111 yards, but he didn't have Jalen Hyatt 5 touchdowns in every yard you could possibly get in a college football game. Keaton had a nice game, 5 catches for 71 yards. But other than that, not a lot of big plays for the Tennessee. We've also been complaining. Here's another thing I want to touch on. Another thing we've been complaining about with Alabama this year: penalties. Oh my God, the penalties. Week in, week out. They take 15 penalties for 130 yards and still somehow win by 3 points. Not this week. 1 penalty for 5 yards. 1 penalty for 5 yards. 32 minutes time of possession. 2 turnovers to 1. I mean, Bama did turn the ball over one more time, but you walk out with a 34-20 win in which for most of the fourth quarter, you weren't too worried about losing the game. Like, that's a pretty good spot to be in against a Tennessee team I think is legitimately a top 20 team. They're kind of in that ranking with, like, I don't want to put names on it because we'll know more after tonight. But I think, they're definitely in contention for the second best team in the East with Mizzou. It's a good win, and you won kind of going away. But let's hear from you, Alabama Nation. Alabama gets the win, 34-20 over the Vols of Tennessee. They get a little revenge after last year's goofiness, and Kansas State is up 21-3 on TCU. So let us change that game. We'll go to Michigan State. That'll be a blowout too. But we're on quit watch for Michigan State. But that's a good win for Alabama. You should be really happy with it. And now you go into the bye week for your biggest game of the year. Because as good as Joe Milton played in the first half, Jalen Daniels is that much better. He's better. And they're going to score points the whole game. They aren't going to stall out. So you get LSU coming home. Then you go to Kentucky, which is another game you should win, but it's on the road. You know Kentucky's going to be up for it. Mark Stoops. I've said this, I think every week we've started talking about the schedule. You might beat Kentucky by 24 points, but it's going to suck. Like it's going to look ugly. You're not going to have fun doing it. You're going to look at the box score and go, how did we win by 24? Like Mizzou did this last week. Like, how did you win by 17? And you got an off week against Chattanooga, and then you got Auburn. Big 2-game stretch coming up here, though. I mean, this was a touchdown Auburn. They just tied it. Speaking of them, this was the big stretch of the season. Tennessee, LSU, at Kentucky. You needed to win all three if you wanted to win the SEC West. Maybe you could drop one, so maybe that's a little bit of an overreach. But yeah, no, it's setting up nicely. You get LSU at home, but that's a really good offense with a lot of explosive players out wide. And they've got a couple guys on defense that can make plays. It's not a very good defense, but they can make plays. See what happens in 2 weeks. It'll probably be a night game, CBS. I'm looking forward to it. And then you go to Kentucky. There's a long time where Alabama after LSU always struggled. I mean, the biggest example of that is Texas A&M in 2012. But we'll see how they do going into Lexington in a weird environment. Like I can't remember the last time Alabama was in Lexington. And I know SEC West, SEC East, like there's plenty of programs. Like when's the last time South Carolina was in Oxford? Like, doesn't that just sound like a weird matchup? Or, when was the last time LSU was? Or no, they never mind. It'll be a fun one. We got another comment here. My laptop is really crappy. Hope it's a night game for LSU. It should be. It feels like every year, especially it's the last year CBS is going to have it. Give it the 7:00 kick. Probably should put Mizzou, Georgia as your 2:30 kick with your B team, and then give Nessler and Danielson, Alabama, LSU. It's probably the last time they're going to get them until the SEC championship, and then they're done. Like you'll never get to hear Gary Danielson fawning over Alabama ever, unless he quits and goes to ESPN. Which Gary, don't do that. Have fun. Watch the Big Ten, man. Big Ten's a good conference. It'll be fun. And speaking of next year, the two teams coming to the Big Ten or to the SEC next year didn't look great today. I don't know Quinn Ewers got hurt, but didn't look good. But yeah, no, that in 2 weeks that should definitely be a night game. LSU, Bama. Jackson, I missed your comment. 20. Oh no, I didn't. 27 unanswered points. Super happy with the results. You should be. That going. No matter how good you think Alabama is, a 27-0 run against a top 20 team is legitimately impressive. After calling Iowa games next year, I don't think Iowa's going to be on CBS. That's going to be CBS next year is going to be exclusive for Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, Washington, and USC. Maybe UCLA if Chip Kelly doesn't leave. Which I'm not saying he will. I just, every year it feels like, oh, Chip Kelly, is he going to leave for this? That's a heck of a catch by, who was that for Ole Miss? 86? I don't know. I don't think you'll have to worry too much about Iowa on CBS next year. They seem like the Fox big noon game. Iowa, Michigan State, 24 over under. But back to what happened to today's events in Tuscaloosa. A lot of positives, man. The run game looked really good today. It was efficient. It wasn't a run game where And that's why I like pulling the longest you play out of it, where because you'll see games where a guy will have 20 carries for 106 yards and be like, oh, wow, that's a really good game. But one runs for 56 yards. And after that, he's 19 for 40. Like, oh, okay, you're it's a carry. Like that's nothing special. But no, Jace McClellan was really good today. Roydell, not a great game for him. 6 for 20. Uh, but man, like just a good performance for Alabama today. You look at the wide receivers: Isaiah Bond, 3 catches, 77 yards. Jermaine Burton, 4 catches, 62 yards. Kendrick Law had the one huge 34-yard play that kind of started swinging the game. He only caught one other pass for 4 yards. Again, with Jalen Milroe, he's not a quarterback. Like you're going to see some of these quarterbacks in the SEC. And I'm Brady Cook, for instance, at Missouri. You're going to see him, and you're going to see like, 8 catches for Luther Burden because Luther Burden's awesome. But then you're going to see like 4 catches for Mookie Cooper, 5 catches for Theo Weiss, 3 catches for their freshman tight end, Norfleet, 2 catches for Cody Schrader. Like you're going to see 7, 8 guys with 3 to 8 catches because that's the offense Mizzou runs. Whereas with Bama, Milroe's only going to complete 15 passes a game. If he's completing more, there's probably an issue because you're down big. He only threw the ball 21 times today. That's the sweet spot, I think, for Milroe. Jackson Dart touchdown. 18 to 23 throws. I think that's the sweet spot. We'll see what happens in 2 weeks because LSU is going to score points. I know Alabama's defense is really good, but with the talent they have, they're going to score points. Speaking of LSU, let's see how they are doing against Army. They're up 7-0, 3 minutes into that game. I think that was a 6 o'clock kick, not a whatever. LSU also has a bye week. See if that plays any significance. It'll be a fun one, man. LSU, and speaking of LSU, because now you're starting to get into the SEC West race. Alabama can drop one, and they can't drop one to LSU. But if they drop one to, let's say they lose a weird one to Kentucky, they're still completely in control of their destiny in the SEC West. The only way Ole Miss is going to go over them is if Bama loses twice, which I don't think is going to happen. So I think you'll see Kirby and Saban in Atlanta. I think Kirby's probably going to win that one, but we'll see. You still have 6 weeks to prep if you're Alabama and figure some things out. But Alabama's played probably its weakest opponents on the schedule, not named Chattanooga. I know Auburn's not that good, but Auburn and Jordan-Hare, some weird things happen, man. They're going to give them a fight. They're going to give them a hell of a fight. Alabama wins 34-20. You are watching or listening to Alabama Postgame live here at the Voice of College Football. Subscribe, like the video. We have a huge family of networks that enjoys talking about college football with you, college football fans and nerds. If you want to talk college football all the time, join our Discord. Sign up at patreon.com/MarkRogersTV. Join our live stream later, 11:30 Eastern, so 10:30 Central. Listen to Mark talk about all of today's events as we get into the nightcap. USC Utah happens, and I think that's about it because Michigan State's going to get their doors blown off here by Michigan because they're not good. Talking about Alabama, Tennessee with a little bit more of a perspective as we get further away from the game. I mean, I like I always do. I wanted to watch the end of Houston, Texas, just because I just wanted to watch the end of that game. It was a really good game. I don't know why Dana threw the ball on 4th and 1 because it came out really late from Donovan Smith, and Donovan Smith's a really good runner. Whatever. This is why he's probably getting fired. Duke, Florida State. But Riley Leonard's not playing, so I'm not too whatever. Unless he is. I thought I saw he wasn't playing, but I haven't been on my phone, on Twitter at least, all day like I normally am. Making jokes, making memes. But going back to Alabama, I mean, if you're an Alabama fan, there's no reason to be any kind of upset with that performance. That was about as impressive as you can get. in the second half. I mean, if you fall down 20-7 and you win going away, that just sounds like good work. God, Mike Elko is going to make somebody really happy in a couple of years when he's their head coach. But what say you guys? Talk about the rest of the SEC slate today. Bama's future, the SEC West future slate, because LSU still got Florida. They lost their toughest game probably so far, or lost both their toughest games. They've had 3 tough games in my opinion. They had FSU neutral site, but it was in Orlando, which is dumb. Not really a neutral site. They had at Ole Miss, and they had at Missouri, and they won 2. So, how many teams are winning 2 of those 3? Or winning 2 of those 3? They lost those 3. I'm tired. It's been a long week, folks. That was a long game. Dude gets to stop on 4th. All right. Not a huge fan of these Michigan State play. No, actually, they're pretty cool. Wow. But the offensive line for Alabama looked pretty. This was the best game they had all year, and they still gave up a couple sacks. Tennessee has a really good front. But man, I really do think this is Alabama's front. I think this is Alabama's General's best game of the year. The fall down, at least best half. The fall down 20-7, and especially in that situation I talked about earlier. Oh, is that Riley Leonard? Oh, he is playing. Sick. All right, maybe Duke's got a shot here. You get that big stuff, and then Milroe comes and immediately throws a pick. Snapping a lot. All the momentum could go out the window for you right there, but it didn't. They battled. They gave up the touchdown, and you get the stop. You move the ball a little bit. Milroe throws a pick. And then oh my God. Then Tennessee comes right down and scores. All the chance to kind of let things melt away there, especially with the season they're having and how mediocre Jalen Milroe has looked at times. They didn't. So great half. David, again, LSU is dangerous. Daniels is a Heisman finalist. Milroe's going to have square points. I think LSU is in that range now where no matter who you are, good defense, great defense, they're going to put up 20-7 points. Doesn't matter how good you are. There's no Georgia defense this year. 2021 Georgia. They're going to put up 27 points. Can you get to 30? If you can, you'll beat LSU. Can you get to 37? Come on, Riley Leonard. We haven't really had any big upsets so far this year. So I kind of need one. I thought we might there was a couple chances for ones today. UCF and Houston, but just didn't get them. We're chopping because of an incomplete on 1st and 10, huh? Okay. All right, Florida State fans. You enjoy yourselves. But Alabama fans, I mean, there's no real nitpicking this game. It was a great game. You knew Tennessee was going to play it because it is, one of they got 2 Super Bowls this year. They got Georgia and they got Alabama. There are 2 Super Bowls every year. Florida, that's a big rivalry, whatever. I'm playing my hair. Florida, big rivalry, whatever. This year, Missouri, Kentucky, who cares? All about the Bulldogs and all about the Crimson Tide. And Tennessee gave it a damn good effort, about as good of an effort as they could give in Tuscaloosa. And you came out with a 27-0 run in the second half and won the game. Good deal. I don't think there's really anything to complain about moving forward. Oh, not as many here to make fun of me because Alabama's losing, but that's okay. We've been having a good conversation tonight. What do you guys think about Alabama's win? It's a big one. Still undefeated in SEC play. There's only 2 teams that are undefeated in SEC play. Alabama and Georgia. It looks like we're on another collision course after LSU threw a wrench in those plans last year. And you get to Atlanta, it's only 60 minutes, and Georgia hasn't looked as dominant as they've been in the past. They've been playing with their food quite a bit. We'll see what they do next week against Florida, and then Missouri, and then Tennessee. That's a fun little 3-game stretch. Bounce at Duke running back. Go, get the corner. No, he's down at the 2. Touchdown. Good deal. But yeah, what do you guys think about this moving forward? I've run out of things I wanted to talk about. We kind of went through every drive, talked a little about some of the impact plays. Bama coming up huge on 4th downs today, which is something you need to do when you play Josh, because he will go for it. He's an aggressive coach. That's what he knows. But Tennessee 0 for 3 on 4th down, 8 for 18 on 3rd down. That's not great from Alabama. But if you combine the two, 8 for 21, that's 40%. It's a little more than 40%. Bama 5 for 13 on 3rd down, not great. But it was an outstanding football game to watch. Not Nealon, good God. Bryant Denny was on another level than what it normally is for even 230 kicks. Like, this was a better environment in Ole Miss. Much better in Ole Miss. It's about the same levels for Texas, especially in that second half when Tennessee really started to melt down and Bama was able to get control. I mean, the Bama fans remember last year what happened. Excellent football game. One of the best, probably the best college football game I've ever talked about on here, or gotten to review or post game it. They came back. They got their revenge. Now you got to go get revenge against LSU. It's the game we've been pointing at all year, I think. I think it was Texas. You get through Texas, then you got to go to Tennessee, and you got LSU. Those were the 3 big tests. You're 1-1. Now you got to get to 2-1. You get to 2-1, you're still in chance for a very successful season. At this point, we're probably down to 20-ish teams that legitimately have a shot at the playoff. And even if you don't like I don't think Duke's going to make the playoff, but Duke has a chance. They win tonight, and they win out. They beat Carolina. They have a chance. Alabama. So I don't think like Duke or Mizzou is going to make the playoff, but they still have everything in front of them. They still theoretically could. Alabama's one of those teams, and I think they're one of those teams that has a legitimate shot, even beyond just theoretically they still can. It's all in front of them, man. See what they do moving forward. No, they called it a touchdown. Good deal. Did you guys give your final thoughts on this one? I'm going to wrap it up. I've got a dinner to get to. Join the weekly live stream Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Voice of College Football, our main channel. You can also watch tonight's call-in show 11:30 p.m. Eastern. Same place, Voice of College Football. Mark will break down all this stuff. Subscribe and like the video. There's a lot of people here on a ton of network of channels. Shoot, I could read all the channels you want. I mean, I'm not going to do that, but all of them have everything you could want to talk about. Every game, every big matchup, in depth, a little more than Mark can do when he just touches on it. And Mark probably talk about the same things I did. Big few stops, Alabama, and then Milroe was able to have an efficient second half. As you're listening to Alabama Postgame at the Voice of College Football, Alabama 34, Tennessee 20. Folks in the chat, start talking to me about it. And remember to use promo code BIG for $10 off a purchase of at least $100 or more, or promo code BIG20 for $20 off a purchase of at least $300 or more at ticketsmarter.com. Alabama 34, Tennessee 20. If I would have given you that score when Bama was down 20 to 7, I think everybody would have taken that, because it looked like if Bama was going to win, it was going to be like a 21-20 grind it out. Like, we have to just stop them. They were able to do it. Tennessee shut out in the second half. Heupel's vaunted offense, not able to get anything going. Bama gets the win. They get revenge for 2022. And they've got a quarterback. I know. After the USF game, they threw Buckner and they threw Simpson out there, and the more you look back on it, man, it really does feel like that was Nick Saban going, "No, Milrose our guy," and I think he shows it week in, week out why they picked him. Some of the intermediate stuff, some even of the short stuff, it's a little, you get a little nervous watching it, but his deep ball is beautiful, man, and he can run the football. He's a mobile guy. He should probably run a little bit more than he does, but I think he's a good quarterback. Maybe probably I don't know where I'd put him in the SEC. But he's a good quarterback, and he's good enough to do what Alabama wants to do. We'll see moving forward with him. And he's going to come back next year, so they have another chance to develop him. Boy, Donovan Edwards is just not having the year he thought he was going to have, or as Gus Johnson would call him, the Don. On another note, Maserati Marv. Oh my God! Did anybody else want to just punch him? It was funny like the first 2 times, and then he kept doing it. I think in the second half, somebody gave him a note at Fox, and we're like, "Don't stop it, knock it off," because he stopped doing it. And I'm thankful for whoever gave him the note because it got really annoying. I hope everybody's bets worked out. If you're in a state where you can legally bet, I hope they worked out. Man, what a day. Another great day of college football. Every time you get into like conference play, every week is just great. No complaints here about moving forward every week. There's not even a week like week 3 this year where I was like, there's no good games. And then we had a great Kansas State Missouri game, and Georgia Tennessee was a lot of fun. Every week, man, there's going to be something. Auburn ties it back up with Ole Miss. So, what are you going to do? I'm going to go ahead and hop off. Thank you guys for being here. Alabama with a big win. Big win tonight. They move on to the bye week. I won't be here next week. Obviously, it's a bye week. We'll get ready for LSU. I'm going to set some stuff up so that post game is even better than normal. Thank you all for being here. Have a great night. Roll Tide. They get the big win and revenge against the Vols.